This is about the people who reach 75, 78, 82, even 85, and still carry something that many younger people have lost. Not just years, not just memories, something deeper, a spark, a steadiness, a kind of living wisdom that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. If you are still doing these 6 things after the age of 75, then you are not ordinary. You are truly one of a kind. And here is the surprising truth. It is not only about living longer. Plenty of people live longer. The real miracle is living with your body still answering you, your mind still curious, your heart still open, and your spirit still willing to rise in the morning and meet the day with purpose. That is rare, because by this age, life has usually tested you in every possible way. You have buried loved ones. You have watched the world change faster than you can count. You have felt aches that were never there in your younger years. You may have fought illness, loneliness, grief, fear, and moments when your own body seemed to speak a language you did not recognize anymore. And yet somehow, you are still here, still standing, still moving, still choosing life. That alone deserves respect. But there is something even more powerful than simply surviving into your late 70s or 80s. There are certain habits that reveal a person who is still biologically, mentally, and emotionally engaged with life. And when I say engaged, I do not mean busy for the sake of being busy. I mean alive in the truest sense. Connected to the world, connected to the body, connected to the future, connected to meaning. So let us talk about the 6 things. If you are still doing these 6 things, you are carrying a level of strength that many people underestimate. You may not look dramatic. You may not be the loudest person in the room. You may not even realize it yourself. But these habits tell a story. They tell the story of resilience. They tell the story of a body that has not fully surrendered to decline. They tell the story of a mind that refuses to go dormant. And they tell the story of a person who still knows how to live, not just exist. The first thing is this: you still keep moving. Not necessarily running marathons, not necessarily lifting heavy weights, not necessarily doing anything flashy, but you still walk. You still get up. You still use your body every day. You still refuse to let stiffness become a prison. That matters more than most people understand. Movement is not just exercise. Movement is a message to the body. It says, stay ready, stay responsive, stay connected. Every time you walk around the house, stretch your arms, stand up from a chair without help, climb a few stairs, or take a slow morning walk, you are speaking to your muscles, your joints, your circulation, your balance, your lungs, and even your brain. The body is built to respond to use. That is one of the great truths of biology. Use shapes function. Inactivity invites weakness. Movement invites maintenance. And when older adults keep moving regularly, they are not just preserving strength, they are preserving independence. Think about that word, independence. For many people, that is the real treasure in later life. Not applause, not attention, independence. The ability to dress yourself, bathe yourself, walk to the kitchen, go outside, feel the sun on your face, and live your own day without everything becoming a medical event. A person in their late 70s or 80s who still walks daily is not simply getting some fresh air. They are protecting circulation. They are helping their heart. They are supporting their muscles. They are keeping their balance systems active. They are reducing the risk of falls. They are helping their brains stay alert. They are sending oxygen to tissues that need it. They are telling their body, we are not done yet. And the beautiful thing is, the body often responds. Even small amounts of movement can have outsized benefits. A short walk after meals can help blood sugar. Gentle movement can reduce stiffness. Regular physical activity can support mood and sleep. It can even reduce the feeling of aging because motion keeps life from hardening into stillness. This is why the older adults who keep moving are often the ones who seem younger than their age. not because they deny aging, but because they work with the body instead of against it. They understand that life slows down when the body is not used, but it can stay surprisingly capable when it is respected and regularly activated. The second thing is this: you still think for yourself. That may sound simple, but it is a profound gift. A person who is 75, 80, or 85 and still curious is a person who is still growing, still listening, still asking, still noticing, still learning, still making sense of the world instead of letting the world pass by in a blur. Curiosity is not a luxury in old age. It is a form of survival. When a person keeps their mind active, they are doing more than passing time. They are strengthening neural pathways. They are maintaining attention. They are preserving language, memory, and judgment. They are protecting the brain from the deadening effects of mental withdrawal. And that is why some older people remain sharp, witty, and mentally agile, while others begin to fade quickly. It is not only genetics. It is not only luck. It is often the daily habit of engagement. They read. They remember names. They follow the news. They ask questions. They solve small problems. They tell stories. They learn new things, even if slowly. They admit when they do not know something. They stay mentally alive. That is one of the most powerful signs of being one of a kind. Because a curious mind does not age in the same way as a closed one. A closed mind turns every day into repetition. A curious mind still finds a reason to wake up. A closed mind says, "I already know enough." A curious mind says, "Teach me something new." A closed mind retreats from the world. A curious mind keeps a door open. And that open door matters. Mental activity is not about becoming a genius in late life. It is about refusing to become mentally dormant. It is about using the brain the way the body was meant to be used. If the body thrives on movement, the brain thrives on challenge. Reading, conversation, memory, learning, and problem-solving are like oxygen for the mind. There is a deep dignity in older adults who still ask thoughtful questions. They are showing us that age does not have to mean surrender. It can mean refinement. It can mean depth. It can mean wiser attention. The third thing is this: you still eat with intention. This is not about perfection. No one is perfect. And no one at 80 needs to be punished by a food rulebook written by people who forget that joy is part of health. But intentional eating is different from random eating. It means you still care what you put into your body. You still understand that food is information. Food is fuel. Food is chemistry. Food is memory. Food is repair. And in later life, that becomes even more important. Because as the years go by, the body does not need less care. It needs smarter care. Older bodies often need enough protein to maintain muscle. They need enough hydration because thirst signals may become weaker. They need nutrients that support bone strength, energy, digestion, immunity, and brain function. They need meals that are not only filling, but nourishing. They need enough color on the plate, enough fiber, enough real food, enough variety. A person who is still mindful about food after 75 is doing more than eating. They are preserving function. They may choose eggs, yogurt, beans, fish, lentils, vegetables, fruit, nuts, olive oil, soups, and simple home-cooked meals. They may understand that highly processed foods often give a lot of calories but little support. They may not use modern food language, but they know the body feels better when the plate is balanced. And what is remarkable is that many older adults who thrive still keep simple habits that younger people ignore. They do not always chase trends. They trust steady nourishment. They understand portion control. They know when to stop. They know the difference between eating because the body needs energy and eating because of boredom or habit. That kind of wisdom is priceless. And then there is hydration. So many people underestimate it. Yet water is not optional. It helps circulation, it supports digestion, it helps temperature regulation, it affects energy, confusion, constipation, kidney function, and more. Older adults who stay hydrated are giving the body a basic gift that many forget. There is also something deeply honorable about a person who still takes care with meals, even if they live alone, even if they are tired, even if cooking has become harder than it once was. That effort says, "My body still matters." And that sentence can change everything. The fourth thing is this: you still connect with people. This may be the most overlooked survival skill of all. Human beings were never meant to age in isolation. The body may be physical, but health is not only physical. It is social. It is emotional. It is relational. A person in their late 70s or 80s who still laughs with others, talks with family, greets neighbors, visits friends, calls someone back, or simply remains open to human connection is doing something powerful for their brain and body. Loneliness is not a small feeling. It can shape health in very real ways. It can affect sleep, appetite, motivation, mood, stress levels, and even how the body handles illness. Social isolation can make the world feel smaller and smaller until the walls seem to close in. But connection does the opposite. Connection expands life. That is why older adults who remain socially active often seem brighter, more resilient, and more emotionally balanced. They have something to look forward to. They have someone to speak to. They have reasons to stay engaged. And you do not need a huge crowd. You do not need 1,000 friends. You need meaningful contact, a real conversation, a familiar voice, a shared memory, a neighbor who says hello, a child or grandchild who visits, a friend who understands your silence without judging it. That is medicine. Not the kind written on a label, but the kind written into human biology. The heart responds to belonging. The nervous system responds to safety. The brain responds to conversation. The spirit responds to being remembered. Think of an older person who still makes time for family gatherings, phone calls, prayer groups, community events, or even simple visits. That person is not just being social. They are protecting themselves against decline. They are giving their emotional life a reason to keep blooming. And there is another side to this. People who stay connected often continue to matter in the lives of others. They become storytellers, teachers, anchors, and keepers of family memory. They become living bridges between generations. That is not a small role. It is a sacred one. The fifth thing is this: you still have a purpose. Purpose changes with age, but it does not disappear. At 75, purpose may not look like the purpose you had at 35. It may no longer be about career, ambition, or building a future in the same way. But it may become something deeper. It may be about care, guidance, prayer, memory, service, wisdom, routine, responsibility, still showing up, still being useful, still being present. And that matters enormously. People with purpose tend to live with more direction. They have a reason to rise in the morning. They have a reason to dress, to clean, to call, to pray, to read, to cook, to teach, to help, to encourage, to keep going. Purpose is not just emotion. It has biological effects. When people feel that their life still matters, the body often follows the mind's lead. Stress can soften, energy can improve, mood can stabilize, resilience can grow. The days can feel less empty and more meaningful. This is why some older adults age so gracefully in spirit even when the body is imperfect. They are still needed. Maybe by family, maybe by community, maybe by themselves. They still carry a mission, even if it is a quiet one. A purpose can be as simple as caring for a spouse, tending a garden, reading scripture, helping a neighbor, making tea for a grandchild, or passing on a family story. Purpose does not have to be grand to be real, and when a person still feels useful, they still feel alive. There is a difference between occupying time and living with intention. Purpose turns routine into meaning. It turns ordinary days into something worth holding on to. The older adult who says, "I still have work to do," may not mean a job in the usual sense. They may mean emotional work, spiritual work, family work, human work, the work of staying kind, the work of staying steady, the work of being a source of calm in a noisy world. That is extraordinary. The sixth thing is this: you still carry gratitude. This one may sound soft, but do not mistake softness for weakness. Gratitude is one of the strongest forces a person can carry into old age. A grateful person does not pretend life has been easy. They do not deny pain. They do not erase loss. In fact, gratitude often shines brightest in people who have suffered and still found a way to remain open. When an older adult can still say, "I am thankful for another morning," or "I am blessed to see my children," or "I am glad for this meal," or "I appreciate a quiet day," something remarkable happens. Their inner world changes. Their nervous system calms. Their attention shifts. Their life becomes more than what is missing. Gratitude trains the mind to notice what remains, and that is powerful at any age, but especially in later life. Because aging can easily become a story of subtraction. Less speed, less certainty, less physical ease, less control. But gratitude introduces another language. It says, not only what is gone, but what is still here. Not only what has weakened, but what still works. Not only what has ended, but what still remains sacred. A grateful elder often has a luminous kind of presence. They may not have the strongest body. They may not have perfect memory. They may not move quickly, but they often have peace. And peace is not a small thing. Peace is a sign of deep adaptation. It is the sign of a person who has made room for life as it is, not just life as they once imagined it would be. Gratitude can also improve relationships. It softens the way people speak. It reduces bitterness. It makes a person easier to be around. It makes them more pleasant, more generous, more receptive. And in old age, that matters. Because the quality of your inner life often becomes the atmosphere around you. Now let us put all six together. If you are still moving, still thinking, still eating with intention, still connecting with people, still living with purpose, and still carrying gratitude, then you are doing something many people do not fully understand. You are aging with vitality. Not perfect vitality, not superhero vitality, real vitality, human vitality. The kind that comes from daily choices, not miracles. The kind that shows up in small habits repeated over time. The kind that keeps the body from collapsing too soon into inactivity and keeps the mind from closing its doors and keeps the heart from hardening. That is what makes someone one of a kind. Because the world often celebrates youth as if youth is the only time worth admiring. But that is a shallow way to see life. There is a deeper beauty in the person who has weathered decades and still maintains a living connection to movement, thought, nourishment, love, purpose, and gratitude. That person has earned their wisdom. They have paid for it with years, with losses, with experiences, with endurance, and with the daily decision not to give up on life. And perhaps the greatest lesson here is that aging is not only something that happens to us, it is also something we participate in. Every walk matters. Every thoughtful meal matters. Every conversation matters. Every moment of curiosity matters. Every act of purpose matters. Every expression of gratitude matters. You do not have to be perfect to age well. You do not have to be wealthy. You do not have to be famous. You do not have to be extraordinary in the world's eyes. You only have to keep showing up for your body, your mind, your relationships, and your meaning. That is how resilience looks in later life. Sometimes it looks like a man who still walks every morning before sunrise. Sometimes it looks like a woman who still calls her children and asks how their day went. Sometimes it looks like an elder who still reads, still prays, still smiles at the newspaper, still tends plants, still remembers names, still says thank you, still listens, still laughs. Do not underestimate these things. They are not small. They are signs of a life that remains in conversation with itself. A life that has not retreated into surrender. A life that still has circulation, not just in the blood, but in the soul. And if that is you, then let this message reach you clearly. You matter. Not because you are young, not because you are flawless, not because you are performing for anyone. You matter because you are still participating in life in ways that keep you strong, connected, and human. If you are still doing these 6 things after 75, then you are not just aging. You are demonstrating something rare. You are showing that the human spirit can remain awake. You are showing that the body can still be honored. You are showing that the mind can still be curious. You are showing that the heart can still love. You are showing that purpose can still guide the day. You are showing that gratitude can still light the room. And that is why people like you are truly one of a kind. So keep walking, keep learning, keep choosing real food, keep calling the people who matter, keep living with purpose, keep noticing the blessings that remain. Because every one of those choices is not only helping you live longer, it is helping you live better. And when life reaches this stage, better is everything. Better is dignity, better is strength, better is peace, better is presence, better is the ability to wake up and still say, I am here, and I still have something to give.